Thank you for being an Idaho Brunch sponsor.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you on the podcast.
Sure.
What is the story behind your business?
Okay. The story behind my business name or business. So it's my last name, Whyte Weddings and Events, and Whyte spelled Whyte. My husband came up with it, and the business name is his last name.
It's cute. That's how your last name is spelled, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's cute.
So that's what we ran with.
Yeah.
I don't love the song that like Whyte Weddings by Billy Idol. It's not it was actually on my do not playlist for my wedding.
That's funny.
But yeah, that's our last name, and so that's what we ran with. I didn't, when exploring different options for different names, like I had found that they existed in other parts of the country, and I didn't want to have the same name or logo or whatever as another planner in the industry, even if it is in another city.
Yeah.
So we decided that since the last name was spelled so uniquely, and we did research on other, just typing in business names, and we weren't able to find anything else like that. So we decided to run with it.
I like it.
Thank you.
I think it fits perfectly.
Hey, thank you.
If you weren't doing wedding planning, what do you think you'd be doing?
Corporate event planning. That's my background. I've done a lot, like 20 years of corporate event planning, both in the public sector, the private sector, small business, higher education, even in a medical company. I've done a lot of event planning. And so that's something I really enjoy doing. And I love when people walk away saying like, that was so much fun. Like, that's the most rewarding aspect of the job. So if I wasn't in weddings specifically, it would still be somewhere in event planning.
Yeah. How did you get into event planning, like with the corporate events?
Wow, great question. Taking it back a long way. My first fiance was killed 4 days after 9/11 in a car accident. I was going to school at the time. My degree was in marine biology, and I had left school after his accident. Again, 4 days after 9/11, like the world was already in a state of like tragedy, panic, heartbreak, all of that stuff. And then he was in a car accident and didn't make it. And so when I left school, I had no intentions of coming back. I was a freshman in college. My RA reached out to me, my director of housing, like a lot of campus leaders from my undergrad reached out and was like, we're here, whatever you need. We can't wait for you to come back. The night it happened, they helped. I didn't do anything. They packed my bag for me. They were there for me. My campus pastor came and stayed with me all night. My friends, my RA, a bunch of people had stayed, and then they got me to the airport the next day. And like trying to fly after 9/11 was already a feat of its own, but I was going to school 17 hours from home. Didn't have a car as a freshman. They made sure I got home. And when I was home, dealing with the aftermath of Dave's passing, I felt like they cared. I felt like they wanted to help me. I felt like they were looking forward to having me back. And I was like, I'm not going back to school, and I don't care about school. I'm not like, that was the hardest thing on my mind. But when I got back, eventually I did go back, about, I think 3 weeks to a month later. So at this point, like I had missed so much school. I missed all the exams. I didn't do any of that while I was home. And when I got back, they helped me get back into the groove of things. They helped me, talk to all of my teachers were somehow already notified. Like they took care of it all. And long story short, when I got back to school, I felt like I was valued, important. They wanted me to be there, and they wanted me to connect with campus somehow. So my RA was like, come to this program. And my pastor, they had like coffee talk Wednesdays, and they're like, come to coffee. And I just felt like somebody gave a shit about me. And I that went so far. And so when I got back to campus, I decided I wanted to, pay it forward. So if somebody was ever in a situation, hopefully never like mine, then I could be there for them. So I got involved with campus events my freshman year of college. I became an RA my second, third, and fourth year. And then after that, I went into student housing. I became a first responder. And that's kind of how it all started.
That's incredible.
From coastal, I went to University of Pacific. So I went from South Carolina to California for my master's degree. Worked in student housing and campus events and was a first responder. And then after there, I went to Mesa State College in Colorado. And after that, I went to pursue my doctorate at Florida State. And then after that, position opened at Boise State, and I came to Boise State. I was a first responder and did campus events there.
Wow.
And then after Boise State, I met my husband, and I didn't want to be like a first responder responding to things in the middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning if I was pregnant.
Okay.
So that's kind of when I left higher ed. I went into a role of recruitment with a medical scribe company.
Okay.
And I did campus events for the medical scribe company to try to attract folks that were interested in medicine in the medical field of some sort, right? And we would hire them to be medical scribes for different doctors' offices or hospitals. And I was the one that got to go to campus and talk about this medical scribe company. And that was fun, but it wasn't like my thing. And then after that, I got recruited by a technology company like we were talking about. And they were like, come work for us and do, training and events. Like, you're the personality we want. You're the fun person. Like, you can plan everything. And I was like, no. You don't want me. I hate technology.
Yeah.
Like, that's not my thing. And they were like, and I was like, I can't put on a training for technology. Like, that's so far, no. So they had me come to one of their friends and alumni events and talk to me. And they're like, look, somebody can set it all up. You just have to say like, hey, I need this need, this need, this need. And I'm like, okay,
terrible.
right? It's not that, I could, I'm the director, right? I'm the director of events.
Yeah.
Okay. So I went to work for a technology company and I was there over 10 years. It got purchased then by a larger corporation and I worked for that large.
I'm wondering about that. I was like, I don't feel like I have that company anymore.
Yeah, I then worked for the larger scale company for an additional 3 years. And then I decided once everything went offshore to India that I would just not work for a big corporation anymore and do it all myself.
Oh.
So now I primarily just do weddings and events around the Treasure Valley, and I do travel. I've done South Carolina weddings, Georgia weddings, Maryland, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Colorado.
I bet that is.
So it's so much fun.
Yeah.
But I primarily stay around the Treasure Valley.
That's fun. I feel like before I had my baby, I was like, let's go everywhere.
Right.
But now I'm like, I just want to stay home.
My thing is, if I'm going to be around here, then I want to be home when my babies wake up tomorrow. Right? So, like, I don't usually do McCall. Like, I'll call one of my friends that does McCall. But if you want me to go to Colorado, sure, I'll do that. And that way I can arrange something, with my husband or have family members cover or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll travel out of state, but if it's more than, 2 hours, I usually will call someone else.
That's at least good to have a network of people that you could do that for, though.
Yes, I'm part of IEP, which is Idaho Event Professionals. I'm part of this amazing group of planners and other event professionals. So we get together once a month for what we call a board meeting, and everybody brings a board, right? So it's like cheese or wine or desserts or fruit. We all have, we bring a board and then we sit there and we talk about things going on in the industry.
Personal curiosity, do you have a do not recommend list?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I will never speak bad about any vendor.
Mm-hmm.
But if a client comes to me and says, I'm looking at this person or this person, and neither are good, I'm going to say, I'd suggest you keep looking. If you would like referrals, I'm happy to give them. But I will never say anything bad about anybody, but I would suggest they keep looking. Or if it's one or the other, I would say I would probably go with this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because even like, I guess a photographer, I never really like worked like with enough bad vendors, so I never got that list in my head. But through this, you'd be surprised.
Oh yeah.
I am like shocked. Like I'm truly just trying to provide like value to the vendors and the brides in the community, and the amount of negativity, like I don't share it and I don't talk about it, but the amount of negativity,
yeah,
I'm like, and people work with you. Like I am shocked.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah,
not in a good way. Anyways, what's one thing your clients would say about working with you?
Hands down, their day goes seamless and they don't have to worry about anything. I actually was just talking to my husband last night and he was like, you need to screenshot some of that. And I was like, anybody could send it to me and screenshot and put it on your website. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does. To me, it does, because I keep every one of those text messages. But when I get one that comes in, it just makes my heart so happy when somebody says, yes, that was the best day ever. That's what I strive for every single time. And as long as I've been doing this, this July will be 16 years that I've been doing weddings. Not that I've been in business. The first few years was like friends, family, friends of friends, friends of family. And I'm like, and everyone kept asking for a business card. So I eventually turned it into a business. But 16 years this July. My favorite is getting text message afterwards that tell me like, will you just be my family now? I truly love that. Or for someone to say like, that was the best day ever. That should be your best day ever.
Right.
That should be your best day ever. And that makes my heart so happy. So I would say that their day was perfect, that their day was seamless, that they didn't have to worry about anything. In addition to that aspect, when I get feedback from the parents that also say, thank you so much. Because I feel like a lot of people are going to say, oh, my mom's my planner. Oh, my mom's my coordinator. And that to me is the saddest thing ever, because the mom should also be part of the day and get their pictures done and get their hair done and, feel like they're involved and special and part of the day without feeling like I've got to refill water and lemonade containers, right?
Yeah.
It's not enjoyable for the parents, and they've worked just as hard to get you to this milestone as you did to plan it and get here.
Yeah.
Back home.
That's, I feel like oftentimes when you think like, oh, it'd be so easy to just have like my best friend or my mom or like somebody do it. But that sense of relief of having, like making sure that somebody has got you.
Yes. In addition to that, Ivy, I'd say you get what you pay for. Because you'll have some people that are like, oh, I'm just going to throw $100 at a friend and call it good. Okay. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Like, do you really want to trust the most important day that you're going through, right? You get one shot at making this amazing and beautiful, and your guests are going to talk about it for years to come. Either how it flops or how successful it is. They will be talking about it for years to come. Do you really want to trust that process?
And the friend is probably going to be trying to enjoy the party, drink, or like just at least.
Yeah. It's so I'll sometimes have folks that are like, that's too expensive or whatever, and I'm like, I will refer to other planners in the industry, but I'm always like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
And I wish you the best, and I hope your day is amazing. I truly do.
Yeah.
And leave it at that.
I think that's kind of when people have that mindset, it's kind of only thing you can do.
Yeah. I mean, in the photographer role too, like you'll have college students that are like, I just need experience, right? Like you could totally pay a college student like $200 and be like, come photograph my wedding. And like, I hope it works out, right? But at the same time, like as a wedding and event planner with, the experience I have under my belt, and I can tell you, I still keep in contact with every single one of my couples. Whether what's neat is I've done a baby shower for one of my couples post-wedding. And like when they keep coming back and when you have like contact and referrals that have just been, like family or amazing throughout the process. And I don't want to, I've never had a bad wedding is what I'm saying. If you want to trust that to like a $200 photographer, like,
go for it.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I hope that your best day ever is really going to be your best day ever.
And is captured and actually like those photos don't go missing.
Maybe you'll get on and maybe they won't be blurry and maybe they'll be in focus.
Yeah.
So like if you truly want to have the best day ever, do you really chance it on a friend or family member? So
yeah. Definitely worth investing.
It's a great investment, honestly. The reviews, like I always say, read the reviews of the people that you're going to be hiring for your best day ever. Like, read the reviews because they speak volumes.
Yeah. Well, and even if you've already hired a vendor, ask them. They probably know.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yes.
What does your dream wedding look like as a vendor?
Oh, wow. I could say I've had several of those, honestly.
Yeah.
That's a really hard question to answer in specifics, but I will say I did a wedding Valentine's Day weekend, dream wedding. I mean, not necessarily for me, but like for the couple.
Oh, yeah.
And as a vendor, dream wedding. Every vendor arrived on time. Every vendor had the floor plan. Every vendor reviewed the timeline ahead of time. I didn't have to handhold. I didn't have to tell them where to set up. I had like all of my pre-meetings done were, specifically for DJ. We went through all the music and we talked about game plan. I don't wear a mic in case it interferes with, radio waves or whatever. So like I position myself to get people down the aisle, give them the heads up when I'm ready for the song to change. We fade, we go, and everything runs incredibly smooth. Like that weekend, we had 307 guest count and it was seamless.
Wow.
Seamless. We had a room flip in between. So we sent all the guests down to cocktail hour and then we flipped the room and came back up and dinner was ready. Like we had great catering, great DJ, great photo, great video, photo booth. I mean, everything went seamless for 307 guests for the couple. It was a great space where I could pull the couple out and have them peek over the balcony to look at the space and watch her get giddy and excited about it. But they had great family support. It was a flawless wedding. And I mean, that was, on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Like that's a large party of 307. The following weekend, last weekend, I had a guest count of 66, and that also was a flawless wedding. Every vendor showed up on time. Every vendor knew where to go. That one was outside. She wanted mountains and snow, and so I had to battle the wind and make some executive decisions about some of the decor and the draping because it was flying, and I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. And so when they trust me to make executive decisions for what's going to look best for their photos, what's going to be a good experience for their guests, what's going to be best for them, and I could run with it, and then the day goes flawless because I've been able to make those executive decisions.
Yeah.
But for 66 guests, we had an outdoor wedding, indoor reception, and no problems. Once I decide, make the call on the wind and some of the decor, no problems. Like I I don't know if I can say this on your podcast, but I don't do shit shows.
Oh.
So whenever I'm meeting with couples and clients and we're talking about their day, I don't do shit shows. Everything starts on time. Everything runs seamless. And your day will be executed amazingly and flawlessly and seamlessly if you trust me.
Yeah. I think that's huge. Like, because you're paying these people a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
trust them.
Yeah.
And if you don't trust them, maybe you should pick somebody else.
Honestly, if you have a good relationship with your vendors, they are your biggest advocates, because, you know, as I'm doing these planning meetings and talking with these couples, nobody knows your day and how you want your day to go better than I do. Right?
Yeah.
So every vendor is going to come to me for questions. Every vendor is going to be looking at me to make an executive decision on wind or rain or, you know, whatever. And I have to execute flawlessly. If I have one vendor that doesn't show up on time, I'm the one making the phone calls. They're looking at me as in like, where is this person? Right?
Yeah.
So one of the things I do very differently than a lot of folks in the industry is I do a lot of pre-wedding vendor communication. I have a phone call with every single one. I send out the timeline ahead of time. I all have my contact number for the day of and email me ahead of time for questions. But I do a lot of vendor communication up front, so that way I know that there's no questions on the day of, because if you bring your A game, we all bring our A game, the day goes smoothest. So
yeah, I think just that, like, as a vendor, that's really helpful, like the communication, because like the weeks coming up, like you don't want to bug the bride, but you have questions, like for when they don't have a planner.
Yeah,
like, you have questions, but they are kneeling down all the final details and getting everything ready, and so either they won't get back to you or they are just
no. And I always tell my brides, put down your phone on the day of. Like, give it. I always say, who's your contact person, right? Like, if you're having a maid of honor, your best man, they have your phone. They're my contact people. If something comes up, they're who I'm getting in touch with, not you.
Yeah.
Put down your phone, enjoy the day, feel like a princess, get your hair done, get your makeup done. Don't be on your phone stressing about anything, because I've got it. I've got it handled.
And I think that's why it's so important to have a planner. Like, as many people are like, oh, I'll just do it myself, or oh, I'll have a friend. Like, they know what's going on, and they can foresee issues, like you said, with the wind and decor, or
someone's not showing up on time, or, I always, when I'm talking with my vendors, I'm like, when you hear the song, you need to make sure that your appetizers are ready to go. When you hear this exit song, they're coming, right? Like, there's certain cues that I can talk to vendors about to make sure everybody's prepared and ready to go. Who's doing that if you're standing at the altar?
Probably.
Who's doing that if your mom's sitting in the front row?
Yeah.
Who's doing that if your cousin's in the audience? Yeah. I know. I get it. When I got married, I had my cousin stand in as the bride, and I directed my rehearsal. And then on the morning of, I have been talking with her. So on the morning of, I closed my book and I said, here you go. Not a thing went wrong. It's like, you just got to trust your person. And she's the only person I would have trusted with my day, as a fellow event planner too. But I ran my rehearsal. But I closed the book the morning of, and I gave it to her, and I said, I'm out. Everything you need is in that book. It is fine. She handled it.
That's great.
Nothing came up. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Type A personality there.
It works. Do you have any go-to traditions or rituals that you follow before each wedding?
Yeah, I always get to the venue first and kind of just have my peace, talk to God, figure it out, watch the sky, watch the wind. Am I looking at leaves blowing? Am I looking at snow? Do I see storm clouds? Check the weather.
Because Idaho weather,
especially in springtime.
Yeah.
Yes. I never know what I'm gonna get. So like a week ahead of time, I'm checking weather. But on the day of, I like to get there early, and I'm not bothering the venue coordinator. Like, I don't necessarily get out of my car until like 9:01, right? Like when I am supposed to be on premises, but I like to get places early and kind of watch the sky and have my conversation with the higher power and pray for a great day and, review my timeline, review my steps, think about my conversation with every vendor, check my email one last time for any questions that may have come in. And then I'm like, okay, it's go time. And then put on my apron and we go make it happen.
I like that. So I feel like that just sets the day up, obviously, for success. But you're not like rushing because you're late or like
no
everything. Yeah.
No, I don't like to be late.
I late all the time.
Well, I thought
not to weddings or events, but...
right. I feel like if it's a weekend and I have the kids at home, it's like which way the wind blows depends on what we might do.
Yeah.
Right. So I think when kids are involved, that's a completely different story.
Yes.
But when it comes to like somebody's big day, there's no wiggle room.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing less than perfection on that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
how do you approach weddings differently than vendors or other people who provide the same service?
Yeah, great question. I don't do packages.
Huh?
Everybody out there does packages, and it's like, so as a planner, because I do an hourly rate, like when I'm sitting with these couples in their first planning meeting, the first one I have once all their vendors are selected, unless I'm doing like full planning, but for those that I'm just doing month of coordination. So I have them bring all their contracts and we start reviewing contracts like, okay, we've got 5 hours for photo booth, 6 hours for video, 6 hours for photo, caterings, 4 or 5 hours. And I sit there with them and then we look at, once we start building their timeline, we figure out like what are the best hours, but if you have this many hours in this contract, this many hours in this contract, and we plug and play into their timeline. Mm-hmm. So my time is, your planning meetings and your day of your rehearsal. If you want to do a venue walkthrough, like mine's an hourly rate. So it's as much or as little as what somebody wants. And that's not to say it's like everybody that just wants a low budget, hire Amy. It's if you want your day to run smoothly and you don't want to feel like you have to be watching the clock, that's when I come in. And if it's like a cleanup takes an hour, or cleanup takes, shouldn't take more than an hour, but it's like you don't have to worry about a time clock, right? Like I come in, I make it all work, but I don't do a package because I don't want you to feel like, okay, I've got to get Amy out of here by this time. Nope, it's whatever you need on the day of. I also typically only do one wedding a weekend. It is your weekend. So I do the rehearsal, we do decor handoff, we do your final venue walkthrough, placement of certain tables or what, certain things that you want set up. And so that's usually the night before. And then the day of, if your day takes 12 hours, it takes 12 hours. If your day takes 10 hours, normally we know this all ahead of time. I'm pretty accurate with my timelines. So yeah, it's very different because it's an hourly rate and not a package and not the stress of a time allotment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else typically comes in a package besides hours?
I think it depends on the planner, but if you look at some of the planners and what they offer, some will say, timeline creation, and some will say, up to 10 hours on your day of, or you can purchase additional hours.
So kind of like photography.
Yes, similar to that. Some will do, there's even some out there that do day of coordination. And I'm like, holy heck, how do you do just day of,
Yeah.
My success rides on all of your vendors being successful. So I never call it day of coordination because I'm like, I do so much pre-communication with all of your vendors ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like once we have our final planning meeting, that's when I start going, right? So once you've signed off on the timeline, then I start reaching out to every single vendor and having those conversations and ensuring that each of them are going to be successful, because that means I'm going to be successful.
Well, and it's helpful just even as a vendor, because then people aren't coming up to you when there isn't a plan, and then people aren't coming up to you and expecting you to know the answers. Because I'm like, I'm just here to do my job. I have
I'm just a photographer.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah. Like, I can't tell you the amount of weddings that I've been to that there wasn't a planner, and they come to me then as a point of contact, and I'm like, I don't know, I just here to create art and help things as best I can, but I don't know that answer.
Yeah.
But I am not that person.
No. I always recommend hire a planner, hire a coordinator. Even if you don't need full planning, you still need someone to run your day.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Crazy.
It shouldn't be the DJ. Your DJ is not going to be able to answer table decor questions.
Right.
You know, it shouldn't be your photographer. Your photographer is there to, like you said, create art.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, it just, a lot of people don't get it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and even I think that there was a wedding where there was it wasn't a planner, but it was some sort of point of contact, and then they were never to be found. So then it was well, you're a vendor, so I'm gonna ask you. I'm like, well, there's somebody supposed to be doing this. So
good luck.
Yeah, this is the importance of vetting your vendors and making sure that you trust them.
Yes. Check your Google reviews, people.
Yes. I would stay off Yelp. I think Yelp is the trash of the internet. Everyone just goes there to complain.
Oh no.
Yelp, but Google, I feel like Google is pretty good.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of a wedding day?
As they're walking back down the aisle after they've said their vows and I do and kiss. That's my favorite part. It's you can see the tension just melt away off the couple. Beforehand, it's both of them are nervous and tense and whatnot, but when you see them kiss and walk back down the aisle, I'm standing in the back going, right? And okay, and then stop halfway for your kiss.
Yeah.
But you just see the tension melt from their face. They are so happy and so excited. The hard part's done. That's my favorite part, is seeing that smile when they're on their way out.
Yeah.
That makes the day right there.
Yeah.
But then when you see them let loose and be able to dance, and then whatever their send off is at the end of the night, that's a lot of fun too. But really, it's as they're walking back down the aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was a good one too.
Yeah.
I have never really thought about that question, but yeah, I think that is.
You just see the tension melt right off of them, and they're so excited, and I'm just elated with joy for them.
Mm-hmm.
That okay, our part's over. Let's go have a party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your least favorite part of wedding day?
I think if there's tension in the family, I usually can pick up on it, and then I have to squash that right away.
Yeah, because it's not their day.
No.
Leave that at home.
Speaking of it not being their day, I have had difficult conversations with family members about, I need you to take this negative energy and I need you to walk outside and take a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
I have had to ask mothers of either side to go to where they need to be for pictures and get out of the bridal suite, because you are causing unnecessary stress and I can't have that today.
Yeah.
So I've had to have some of those difficult conversations in a very nice and polite way.
Yeah.
But I've had to be the bad guy, and that's okay. It doesn't bother me if somebody doesn't like me after the wedding. That hasn't happened. But I have no problem being the person in control and directing traffic and directing people where they need to go when they need to be there, especially if it's causing unnecessary stress for my couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to have that third party, I'm going to remove you from the situation, versus it being another family member or something else. And then that just adds to it.
It does. And then there's long lasting hot feelings there. Whereas if somebody has hard feelings on me, I don't care. You're not going to see me again.
Right.
But I'm going to make sure that my couple, my bride, especially my bride, doesn't have stress on her day.
Yeah.
So if I can alleviate that and have a conversation and pull that person aside, and it's never going to be, it's never going to be public, and it's never going to be in a place of, negativity. But if I could just pull someone out and have a conversation and say, I need you to take a walk.
Yeah.
I need you to take 5 minutes. I need you to take some deep breaths. Do what you need to do, and then I want you to come back with a better attitude if you're going to come back. If you need to be in the room, you need to be in the room. If you don't, I'm going to ask you to leave, right? Like, I need to be able to handle that and have some of those conversations to ensure that my bride has a great day. Because honestly, it should never be anything less than a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is important. And I feel like weddings, they do something to people.
The stress comes out. Yeah. Or the entitlement. Like, I want to be in that bridal suite.
Yeah.
If you're not part of the wedding party, you do not need to be in that bridal suite. Well, I want to be in the bridal suite. I want to say hi. I want to give her a hug. Nope. Oh, you're not going to. Everybody wants to come in and give her a hi and a hello and a hug. You're like, nope.
Yeah.
So if I have to be the bouncer of the bridal suite, I'm the bouncer of the bridal suite.
I feel like you should get a shirt that says that.
Bouncer of the bridal suite. Yeah.
That's cute. What would you say a common misconception couples have about planning is?
What they see on Pinterest is how it should be.
Oh.
I always say your day, your way.
Yeah.
When couples ask me who goes first or how should this be, my answer is, how do you want it to be?
Yeah.
Because I feel like in today's age, it can be traditional if you want it to be traditional, but it doesn't have to be traditional if you don't want it to be traditional.
Yeah.
So I think a misconception is what they see on Pinterest is how it should be in terms of decor and budget. And I should have a bachelor party in Vegas. Nope, not necessarily. What do you want that to look like? And then just having realistic conversations with your wedding party, with your parents, with your soon-to-be spouse in terms of budget. Just because you see it on pictures does not mean it's real life.
Yeah.
Oh,
because those pictures are curated to be perfect
for social media.
Yeah.
And
I think that often, like, social media plays a huge role in what our expectations are, and I feel like that they're setting the standard of, like, this is what it needs to be, when that might not resonate with you.
Mm-mm.
Like, I said on a previous podcast episode that I haven't posted yet, but I thought that I needed to have this small wedding and elope and only need like X amount of people there. And I was like, am actually quite sad that I did that, because I am like, I like huge gatherings. I want to see everybody. And part of it was, though, that my husband wanted a smaller wedding, so I wanted to respect that.
Sure.
But I also know that at the time I very much got sucked into the you just need to elope. And looking back on it, I'm sad.
Have a party.
Yeah.
Have like a 5-year party, 10-year party. Like, have a big old party.
I'm going to, because I also like missed out on photos with all those people because I just wanted a small wedding.
Yeah.
And that's because that's what was being pushed. But you need to really sit down and see what is important to you.
Yeah.
If a couple's on the fence about hiring a planner, what would you tell them?
Ooh.
Just do it.
I would say figure out your overall budget and set aside something for a planner, for a coordinator. Like I said, if you're going to have the big day and you're going to spend the money on a big day, your guests are either going to talk about what an experience it was in either direction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want that to be a great experience, hire a coordinator. And if you're okay with winging it and hoping it goes well, when you've spent all this money investing in your day, investing in your party, investing in your wedding, your hair, your makeup, your dress, your florals, your music, your venue, your catering, your food, your bar, I get that it's just one more thing to add, but if you're already investing so much to make this day perfect, why not seal the deal and make it perfect?
Right.
Instead of hoping all of the money you've invested and all of these vendors are going to show up and it's going to run smoothly with nobody being the keeper of the chaos.
Yeah, it's like tying the bow at the end, like sealing it together.
Right. So, I mean, if you're already going to spend the money and invest in your day and invest in your wedding, invest in a planner or coordinator to make the day run smoothly.
Yeah, I think that's important. One question I did just think of.
Yeah.
I have noticed this trend of wedding designers versus planners. What's your take on that? I know I didn't prepare you. I just thought of it. I'm sorry.
I think it goes along the lines of like content creator. When you hire a content creator, you're basically hiring someone to be on their phone. And when you're hiring what did you call it? A designer?
Like wedding designers.
I don't feel like that's very different than a planner.
Yeah.
Honestly, like your designer will probably come in with 1,000 ideas, where if you're a planner and coordinator, you come in and you listen, right? Like instead of coming in with all the books and designs and ideas and like, I don't like all the themes, right? As a planner, I come in and I may ask some questions, but it's more of listening to what my couple wants and what my couple needs. And then from there, I can say, you don't need this. You do need this. Based on what you're telling me, this is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Where I feel like a designer is going to come in with like all the latest trends and themes and colors.
Yeah.
And like, that's no different than going to like the wedding shows, for example, because everybody comes with your biggest and your best and your brightest, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I just like to go in and listen first.
Yeah.
Say, what do you want? What do you want your day to look like?
Because it's your day. You don't have to follow the trends.
No, it's your day, your way. It's however you want it to be.
Yeah. I think the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, that's for rich people. Like people who have too much money.
Don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. What is the most rewarding part of your job when it comes to working with couples?
A thank you card.
Really?
That's my I keep every single one. Thank you card, hands down.
Yeah.
That, and I would say I did a birthday party for a little kid. I think it was his second birthday, and it was like taco. It was a taco themed party, and it was like talk about how cute I am.
Oh, that is.
And my favorite, one of my favorite things about that is when he came up and said it was the best birthday ever. And I was like, oh, sweet baby, this is only 2. Like, you're going to have so many more.
Yeah.
But when he said it was the best birthday ever, that made my day.
That is. Because kids are honest.
Kids are honest.
They're
right?
so honest.
Like, and as they get older, they get more and more brutally honest, right? Like, my 5-year-old just recently told me I had to go back to school because I didn't know enough about bats. Like, she's learning about bats inside his class, and then she's like, you need to go back to college. And I was like, huh. All right.
Thanks.
That, that degree means nothing.
Yeah.
Check. So glad I paid off all those student loans. Now I need to go back to college. So kids are brutally honest. But yeah, when he told me that was the best birthday ever, I was like, oh my gosh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And then just recently I had a couple ask me, could you just join my family? And I saved that text message and I showed my husband that. And I was like, this is why I keep doing what I do.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that beyond measure. A thank you card, a text message, a Google review, a kid telling me it's the best birthday ever. Like, words of affirmation, hands down, are my love language. So when I get that, in whatever form, email, review, little kid, text message, whatever, that's the best ever.
Yeah.
That's the best ever. Yeah.
That is. Especially the kids.
Because they don't lie. They don't lie.
What would you say the most fulfilling thing about being a vendor in the industry?
The connections I make, and then networking with other vendors, and then just having other vendors. When another vendor takes the time to write a review about you, like, that speaks volume, because I know you're busy. I know you're busy running your own business. I know you're busy running your own social media. I know you're busy, ordering product or editing images. Like, I know you're busy because I'm busy.
Yeah.
But when another vendor writes a review about you, holy cow, like, thank you for taking the time to do that. That's so powerful.
Yeah.
And that means so much to me. But when they take the time out of their incredibly busy lives and days to write a review and like say something nice about you, like, that's huge. And so for me, like, just networking with other vendors is huge. And then actually getting, feedback from another vendor is huge.
Yeah. Because they're also going to be honest with you, like, they have no benefit or loss out of it.
They have no benefit, no loss, whatever, to, send me a message or to leave a review for me. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you describe the best wow moment you've experienced with a couple on their day?
Best wow moment. I think when just lately I had a bride named Cassie ask me to be part of her family afterwards.
Yeah.
Like,
Doesn't mean something.
I mean, that means a lot. I mean, she's got an amazing family. She married into an amazing family, and afterwards, like, we had met up so I could hand off some decor, and she goes, "Do you want to meet for coffee or go hiking?" And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that really answers the question, but I guess, like, wow moment is just when I have couples that say stuff like that. I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a wow moment.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, February 22nd, bride wrote me pre-wrote me a thank you card and gave it to me the morning of. And I didn't open it until the next day, but she was one that also was like, "Do you want to go get coffee sometime?" I'm like, "Absolutely.
Please.
Absolutely."
Yeah.
Like, I keep up and I keep in touch with all of my couples. And I have never had one ever, like, go bad. So I think for me, that's the wow moment.
Yeah. Okay. What's one of the most challenging wedding day situations you've handled?
Springtime in Idaho.
Oh, yes.
We were out at a venue that we ended up getting wind, rain, hail, snow, a rainbow, and the power went out.
Talk about, that's like the quintessential spring wedding in Idaho.
Uh-huh. And the couple's still married, and I did their baby shower.
Oh, yeah. But I feel like when stuff like that happens,
Weather
it just makes the story better.
That was definitely one of the most stressful, if not the most stressful ones I've done.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah. Seriously, like, name a more spring thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, the wind was a huge factor. And then, like, watching the weather a week ahead, day before, day of, I'm sitting there that morning and I'm watching the clouds and just kind of saying my piece and figuring the day out. And that day we had, like, wind and rain and sleet and snow and then hail and then power outage. And I'm like,
yeah. Woo, yeah.
All right.
But you made it work.
But we made it work. And it was great. And it wasn't the outdoor wedding we expected to have. And we ended up having it inside. And, we ended up having to do a room flip and make it work. And with all of the guests now, huddled inside, we made it work.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a stressful day.
Yeah, I can only imagine. All right, what's a general wedding trend that you're loving right now?
I think for me, I'd say the flash mob dance.
Oh,
One where the couple is, and I may have even said it wrong. It's not a dance, just flash mob pictures. So the couple's sitting in a chair on the dance floor, and then the DJ calls up, okay, table 1, and table 1 runs up and takes a picture with them, and table 2. And then every table comes to dance to take a picture with them.
Yeah.
But this way, the couple isn't feeling like I've got to eat really fast and then I've got to walk around to every table and talk to everybody and say hi to everybody and take a picture with everybody.
Yeah.
Like the stress on the couple is now alleviated where they will still get a picture with every table, but it's not up to them to like scarf down their food and walk around and do that.
Okay. I think I've seen what you're talking about.
I've had a couple brides that have come and been like, I really want to do this. And that's part, I'll ask some of those questions, but I love when a couple wants to do that because I feel like it alleviates so much stress on them having to walk around to every table and take a picture versus like I get the chairs set up, they come down, and then DJs, plays a long song or loops it, and it's a fun dance party song or whatever, and everyone comes in and they're like,
oh, yeah.
Right? And they stand behind the couple or in front of the couple or put the baby on the couple, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's part of it and it's fun. And I think it alleviates a lot of stress from the couple feeling like they have to go around to every table.
Yeah. I think that is... I've forgotten about that one, but I do agree. I think that is a genius idea because then as a photographer, it's much more seamless editing because different tables have different lighting and different backgrounds. But if you have one, that'll just make it so much more seamless. Yeah, for sure. Do you have any advice for couples who want to make the most of planning without breaking the budget?
Hire me.
Yeah.
And I say that knowing somebody's going to invest and spend money on me, but at the same time, I've been in the industry enough to know once I start listening to what do you want your day to look like, right? That's always my first question. What do you want your day to look like? I feel like I can offer tips and tricks and suggestions on what you need and what you don't need in order to make your day amazing without breaking the bank. Yeah, that's where I'd go with that. I can say that I've helped couples save lots and lots and lots of money without having to do things that they see on Pinterest or social media. Or if I see something and they show me a picture and they're like, I want something like this. Perfect. I know where you can run it. So you're not having to buy it and build it and design it and style it and decorate it, right? Like I know somebody or, a certain situation where I'm like, done.
Yeah.
Done for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
So
DIY, not only is it time,
so many couples don't realize that we'll take flowers, for example. I always say when couples tell me they want to do the flowers themselves, cool, totally. Talk to me about your process. Okay, here's what I would suggest. Make one bouquet. What did it cost with all of your silks or ribbons or reels to do one bouquet?
And time. Yeah.
So if you're going to I always say, do one first. If you like it and it's in the price range, okay, replicate it. And if it's like, I've done one and now I am way over budget, way over time, way frustrated, eliminate it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's important. Something I just thought of though, what is the first vendor that you would hire? Or you would suggest people hire?
Venue.
Yeah.
I think those go the fastest. And then photographer. And then your planner. Because sometimes if you are set on a venue, the venue may dictate your date.
Oh yeah.
But if they come in saying, I want this date, the date is going to dictate the venue.
Okay.
And then from there, start working down. So your photographer, your planner, If you want video, sometimes a videographer, your DJ, but I would say your venue, figuring out your date and your venue is going to be the first one.
Yeah.
And then photographer and planner.
I was wondering if you would say planner first, but the venue makes more sense.
I'm not the highest on the totem pole.
I mean, I'm surprised that you say photographer second. Why is that?
They book up quickly, and if you want a good one, you gotta get it.
That is true.
And if you have your date and you have your venue, sometimes travel dictates your photographer on if they can do it. So in my opinion only, I would say your date and your venue kind of go hand in hand, whether one dictates the other, and then your photographer. Because for me, you're investing so much in this day, right?
Mm.
I dang well want my pictures to show how amazing my day was.
Oh, yeah. Because that is the one thing that you can take away from the day.
Yeah.
The probably one.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else that
your pictures, you have to like your pictures because they're going to hang all over your wall.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be on a Christmas card that hangs on everybody else's fridge.
I still have all my Christmas cards.
You have to like your pictures,
which
means you have to find the best photographer that is going to represent your style.
Mm-hmm.
I never just give one photographer as a referral, right? Like I have a list of who I love to work with. But everybody's style is different. So when I figure out what my bride wants and what they want the day to look like, I can make suggestions based on this is your style, this is your style. I think that would marry well.
Yeah.
But yeah, venue and date is kind of that first, and then photographer, and then your planner.
I think that
in that order.
Yeah, I like that order. Let's see. What's a small detail that makes a huge difference on a wedding day?
Music.
Oh, yeah.
Food.
Yeah.
Those are, I think, probably the two things most people are going to talk about afterwards. Was it a shit show and nobody knew where to go and what to do and what the event was? Like, that's one thing. But like, what's going to make the biggest difference? I think if you want to have a party afterwards, people are going to want a good DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Can they read the room? Are they intuitive?
Yeah.
The other would be is it food, because everybody of all ages is going to talk. Everybody of all ages is going to talk about food.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure that those two, and then having a coordinator to make sure everything runs smoothly, the people get herded in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. How do you balance staying organized and flexible on a wedding day?
Oh, on a wedding day?
Yeah.
I do one wedding a weekend.
Yeah.
You have me for the entire weekend. I try not to work Sundays, but that's the day I get to, I wake up with my kids and my babies, but your rehearsals, your time, and your day is, I'm completely yours the day of. Nothing else. Nothing else comes up. It's the day is yours. I'm not going to try and jam pack a consultation in or another rehearsal, or it's your weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's smart. If you could give every couple one piece of advice before their big day, what would it be?
What's the theme or the motto you want for your day, and then live it. So like when I got married, my husband and I decided easy like Sunday morning. We didn't get married on a Sunday. We got married on a Saturday, but easy like Sunday morning. If it didn't come easy, it wasn't going to happen. We weren't going to force anything to happen. So if it was like forcing our day or venue or whatever to accommodate a vendor we really wanted or catering we were like, it's no. If it wasn't easy like Sunday morning and gave you that feeling like Sunday morning, it wasn't going to come. it wasn't meant for us, so walk away. And I ran with that for our whole wedding. And so for couples, I always say, like, what's your theme?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want your day to feel like? Use that throughout your planning process.
I've never heard of that. I really like that. And I think it's true because it gives you the one thing to like go back to and make sure that everything is cohesive with that one thing.
Yeah.
Because there's so many moving parts.
If you're there for fun, then it needs to be fun. If you're there to have a party, then let's have a party. Whatever your theme is, if you're there because you're a foodie and you want great food and you're so excited about sitting down and or have it, if you want it to be intimate, if you want it to be private, like when we pull you out for a private dinner and then plug you back in for the whatever it is, whatever your theme is, like let's fully immerse yourselves in it and make it yours.
Yeah. I think that I've never heard of that, but I like that. What's something that often gets overlooked in wedding planning but makes a huge difference when done right?
Having a planner, because again, they're either going to talk about what a mess that was or like unorganized chaos or how much fun they had. And it really takes a good coordinator to make sure everything flows amazingly well. And if there is a hiccup, that nobody ever sees it or catches on or knows about it because it's already been handled.
Yeah. That's smart. How do you stay updated with trends in your industry while keeping things fresh and unique for each couple?
Wedding MBA.
Oh, in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas. I'm heading to that this year. I would say take it with a grain of salt, though, because again, it's like a show where people bring their biggest, best, and brightest, right? I think staying up with trends for me is like just keeping an eye on social media, but also taking it with a grain of salt. Keeping up with trends on like the Knot and Wedding Wire, again, taking it with a grain of salt. Personally, for me, how I keep up with trends and couples, I listen. Because I think it all falls back down to what do you want your day to look like? And then sitting there and listening, what do you want your day to look like? And then, oh, I've seen this or I've heard of this. What are your thoughts and opinions on that? Like a lot of couples right now are no longer doing bouquet toss, garter toss. What I've been, a unique trend of what I've been seeing is like dedicating the bride's bouquet to the mom. Because the mom tends to, be overshadowed that day and not really part of the process. So I keep up with things, but I also just sit and listen.
Yeah.
I would never make that recommendation if I knew if the, bride didn't have a great relationship with mom. But it's like sitting there and listening and having some of those conversations in order to make recommendations.
I think that's important.
Sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, it's just listening. A lot of it is just listening.
Yeah. Lastly, what's one piece of advice you'd give to couples just starting their wedding planning journey?
I think I would say, like, be present with each other in the planning process. Like, a lot of times the guy's like, don't care. Like I'll take my husband, for example. He gave me 3 vetoes. He said, you plan it. When we sit down and we talk about it, I'll give, I have 3 vetoes. I have the right to 3 vetoes. Okay. So I planned it. And when we were talking about it throughout the process, when I'd ask him questions, he vetoed wearing anything pink. So even a pink flower, not going to do it. He vetoed dancing down the aisle. Okay, fine. So we only used 2 of his 3.
Oh, wow.
But I would say be present. Don't get upset if something's going to happen if you didn't want to be part of the planning process, number 1. But I think it takes 2 to make a marriage work. And I would suggest being present in the planning process. This is not her show, his show. It is not the mother's show. It is your show.
Yeah.
So I would suggest having conversations and being present.
I think that's important. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.